it shook me so much that night I rang my mother back in America. I have lived in Scotland for about 17 or 18 years now. I'm obviously originally not from here. I'm an American, but I love Scotland and it's my home. So about 10 years ago, I was living in a town in the Kingdom of Fife called Kirkcaldy, and my ex-partner and I were living in what used to be a mansion, and it had been turned into apartments. So we rented one of the apartments from friends of ours, and it was just a nice, kind of a quiet area to live in. It's quite a bit away from like the main street with the shops, although we had a few little shops below us. And it was just a nice old building to live in. So one night in the middle of the winter, it was a really kind of bad night for weather. It was raining and windy, just all around not a pleasant night. And I was sitting in the living room, and I thought, I'll get up and go to the kitchen for something. And our living room overlooked the main street. So when I stood up, we also have a bus stop in front of the building. And it's usually completely deserted at this time of night. And I noticed there was a woman there. Initially, all I could tell was it was a woman, because the bus stop is lit. So I thought that's really strange because there's no buses at that time of night. This was about 11, maybe even later. So I watched for a few more seconds and realized it was quite an old woman, and that worried me. I thought, why is this old lady standing at the bus stop on a really horrible night, cold, rainy, windy? So I thought I'd better go down and just check on her and tell her that there's no buses coming at this time of night. So I said to my ex that this is what I was going to do. Could he please watch from the window? I'm just a kind of cautious person anyway, not that this was a bad area at all, but I just thought, just keep an eye. It's just not a nice night. So I went downstairs without a jacket or anything, thinking, I'll only be a few seconds, and walked up to the bus stop. I approached this woman, and she maybe my mom's 5'4", and she was smaller than my mother, so I don't know, maybe 5'2", 5 foot, very tiny woman. She had glasses, she had grayish white hair, and it was up. She was wearing a brown kind of, we just say overcoat, but like a trench style coat, not a trench coat, but a longer coat, and just said, hi, I just wanted to let you know that there's no buses at this time of night. And she said, oh, that's fine. And I thought, okay, well, why are you standing here then? So I said to her, do you need a ride somewhere? And she says, no, I'm okay. She kept kind of saying, I'm fine, I'm okay. It's in the very typical Scottish way of, there's nothing wrong here, move along. But this woman was at least in her 80s, very kind of frail. Her name was Ruby. I did ask her name. She had a walking stick or a cane, and I just thought, if this is my mother or my grandmother out here, I would be so upset that this poor old lady's just left at this bus stop late at night. So I said to her I was going to go and call her a taxi, and she said to me she couldn't afford that, she didn't have the money. I said, don't worry, I'll pay for it. Let me just get you a taxi. I asked her where she was going. She just said, up the road. I can't find if she said up the road or that way, but either way, she had just kind of been very vague about it. And I just chalked it up to, she maybe just doesn't want me to know where she lives. She's just cautious herself. So nonetheless, I thought, fine, I will go ahead and do that. She didn't kind of argue with me about doing that in any way. So I went upstairs and I said to my ex that I'm going to ring her a taxi. Please keep an eye on her, and I'll pay for it. So I called the taxi firm, which was just a small local taxi company that I used quite a bit. And I said to them the situation. I said, look, there's an elderly woman out here. They obviously knew the weather was bad. I'll pay for her, wherever she's going. I said, I'm happy to, just give my credit card so they could just charge me and just to take her home, please. So that was fine. They said they would be about 5 minutes. And I thought, brilliant, great. In the meantime, I would go downstairs and bring her my umbrella, and that's what I did. So I grabbed the umbrella, went downstairs, told her the taxi's coming, and she kind of just, oh, okay, no big deal. And I said, I'm going to go back upstairs for a minute because I wasn't wearing a jacket and I was freezing. Again, going up and down in our flat, it only took a few seconds from the bus stop for me to go inside to where I lived. So I went upstairs to get my jacket, and as I was doing that, my ex said, oh, the taxi's here, as he was still watching out the window. And I thought, okay, great, grabbing my jacket, and then he said, oh, they've just left, and she's still there. And I thought, what is going on? Why would they do that? I thought, oh, no, this is not okay. Well, I said to him, we will just drive her. So I told him, grab your keys, and let's go. So within the span of, 5-10 seconds from me saying, grab your keys, and walking out our door and just down one flight of steps and opening the door, she was gone. Nowhere to be seen. This is a straight road. You can see quite a long way down the road. There's not really many places you could kind of disappear into within a few seconds, unless you were like an Olympic sprinter. I don't know. My initial reaction was just like total shock. I thought, I'm losing my mind. I don't know. I remember saying, wait, you saw this too, to my ex. Like, I just needed to clarify that somebody else just experienced or just witnessed what I had seen. So I was still really upset and concerned about her more than anything. I was worried. So we started going up the road quickly and checking all the doors on the other flats on the main street. They're all locked, usually, and that night they were all locked as well. Not to mention that I don't know how she could have been quick enough to get to any of them, or in any of them, within a few seconds. But again, we walked further up. There's an intersection. We walked up that way. We separated. One went one way, one went the other. She's nowhere to be seen. It was just completely baffling. So after searching for a good 10, 15 minutes, just everywhere we could, there was a car parked behind the bus stop. There was only, at night it was only used by residents. Very few people that lived in the building had cars, so I think there was only about 3 or 4 cars. We even went to the extent of looking in cars. She was just gone. She was completely and totally just gone. So to kind of make things a bit weirder, when we went back in the flat, I thought, I'm going to call the taxi firm, because I was extremely upset that they had just left this woman. They knew they were going to get paid. They had my credit card info. And when I called, I spoke to the driver, and he said she just refused. She just said no, she wasn't going to go. She didn't need a taxi. She wouldn't get in. And he said, well, I can't force her. So I just had to leave. And I thought, okay, this is just too bizarre. So then our other thinking, my ex and I were talking, and I said, what about one of the nursing homes around here? Could she have gone missing? I was just really worried for this woman. I mean, she was so frail and so kind of old. I just thought, you can't be out in this weather. So I went and I called all the local nursing homes to see if they had anybody missing, and they had nobody missing. So the whole experience, has, to this day, really shakes me. But there's kind of like a twist as well. I had given her my umbrella that night, and after she had disappeared and we had been searching, there was nothing left in the bus stop then, because we stood there at one point for a few moments trying to like gather our thoughts of where she could have been. But the next morning, my umbrella was in the bus stop. It absolutely was not there that night because we stood in the bus stop to stand out of the rain, like after she had disappeared, to gather our thoughts. And in the bus stops, there's benches. So, I mean, I would have seen it. It was sitting on the bench in the morning. It shook me so much that night I rang my mother back in America, really upset, because I couldn't get my head around what had happened. And what really affected me, or still affects me to this day, is the fact that I spoke to her. And I stood, like, right next to her, and I physically handed her something. Like, I can remember her face, and that she wore glasses, and that her hair was up, and, like, I have no explanation for what happened or where she went. I wish I did know what happened. So that's my story of the woman who vanished.
Wow, thank you, Krista. That was a crazy story, especially after you called all the different places and walked all around looking for that lady. Now, if you would like to tell your story, make sure to join the Facebook group called Personal Paranormal. The channel that these videos will be posted on is called Personal Paranormal Experiences, and the link to that channel is in the description. And make sure you hit the notification bell once you subscribe to that channel. I really look forward to hearing all the different stories out there. I will not be trying to debunk any of them or critique them. I am just making videos on individuals' personal paranormal experiences. And until next time, everybody, be safe out there.